You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 132 of the Rotten Views podcast, where we're going to sit down and talk today about Stephen King's Truck from 1998 for an hour and 39 minutes, and it's a PG-13 horror sci-fi movie. I hope you guys are all having a great time. It's actually 8:30 in the morning at the time of me recording this because I am kidless. Because actually last night I just recorded the episode that's coming out before this, episode 131, where we watched Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies, and I got up this morning at 6 o'clock, watched Truck on Tubi, which I'll say again, it's free on Tubi, so watch it on Tubi if you guys want to actually watch it. Can't recommend that app enough because it's great. Hopefully I'll be able to talk better English, seeing that it's early in the morning, but don't get your hopes up because it's me, and that's just how things go. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening to the podcast. I appreciate it all. Make sure to follow me on all social medias. I'm going to put that stuff out there at the beginning. I'm going to do that every now and then because I know some of you guys might not make it to that end of the podcast. So I figured if I put out my social media bullcrap at the front, maybe you guys will go check it out. That main thing I'm pushing is the YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs at the end of the year. That's my goal. I'm at 420 or 430, somewhere around there. So I think it's doable because I've been posting shorts almost every other day. We have a full-length gameplay video come out every Wednesday, and then I have the full-length episodes of the podcast. I'm going to work on the back catalog for that, dropping every week as well. So hopefully you guys will stop by, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, that way you guys know when I post a new video. But yeah, been doing lots of shorts on there, lots of art videos, so definitely go check that out if that's something you guys are into. So hopefully, this podcast goes well. I am still sick, coughing up a lung, but that's fine. It is what it is. This movie is a fun one. It's also based off the same short story that Maximum Overdrive is based off of, but not completely the same movie by any means at all. For starters, you don't have the great, awesome Green Goblin toy truck in this one, which is kind of a bummer. He's replaced by a refrigerator truck, of all things, and you don't have Emilia Estevez, so sorry about that, guys. And you don't have any bazookas or rocket launchers, which is kind of a disappointment as well, but it is what it is. But yeah, as I said, this is based off of the short story called Trucks by Stephen King, which was published in June 1973, an issue of Cavalier magazine and a later collection of King's 1978 collection of Night Shift. So yeah, Maximum Overdrive came out based on Truck in 1986, and then this Truck's TV made movie came out in 1997. I highly prefer the Maximum Overdrive over this one, just because it's wackier and crazier, and there's a lot of crap that happened in that one. The director is Chris Thompson, which I don't really know much about him. I did look it up a little bit. He's done a lot of TV and TV movies, and the only thing that really catches my eye that he did TV wise is he did 3 episodes of the Hitchhiker TV show, which I need to revisit. I think I watched it once when I was younger, and I haven't seen it since. But he also did a TV show called Time Tracks for 5 episodes. There's like an episode here and there, but yeah, Time Tracks is a higher rated one, and then The Challenge, which has the highest rating for him, is a 7.9 on IMDb, and he only did a whopping 2 episodes in 2 years on that one, so it is what it is. But yeah, this movie has a whopping 3.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a whopping 1.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and 69% of Google users like this movie. Our initial release date was October 29th, 1997, adapted, like I said, from the short story Trucks, distributed by USA Network and Trimark Pictures. Quick synopsis: in orbit over Nevada desert, alien invaders use unknown powers to make trucks come to life to use as weapons. Our unmanned vehicles turn homicidal on its owners and people inside a remote diner below. I don't know why that synopsis ends with the word below in it, but it is what it is. The IMDb synopsis is aliens arrive, parking in geostationary orbit over Nevada using powers unknown to use. They declare war and use unmanned trucks as weapons. Yeah, there's not really much about the aliens. I know they talked about the meteor passing by, but that's about it. There's not really any talks about aliens, but it's Nevada, so everyone thinks it's a goddamn alien anyways, because why not? Because that's the most common thing. Taglines are, you turn, you die. Clever. Trivia. Originally, there was a subplot where Logan falls in love with the motorcycle after it comes alive, like the other vehicles. The subplot was cut after negative feedback from test audience, which is, I'm glad they cut that out, because I don't want to see Logan trying to stick it in the tailpipe of this motorcycle, because that's just weird. Goose, the power in the area is out, and later the backup generator is shown being destroyed by the truck. However, the electric gas pumps continue to function for refueling scenes, while the people are using candles as lamps. So apparently you don't need electricity to run a gas pump. It's auto motion or something, whatever that proper term is. Or it's its own being. Maybe the gas pumps are alive too because of the whole alien crap, because it's technically not a machine, but it's still a piece of electronics. I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, we're gonna get right into the movie. I don't use all the character names in this. I'm not gonna lie. I just call the military guy by the military guy. I think his name is Thad. It could be wrong. But yeah, it's not that important to me. Anyways, so to start off, as always, I will be talking about this movie from start to finish. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled, this is that point in time where you get to pause this podcast and go on Tubi TV, download the app, or just go to the web browser website and you can watch the movie. But you know, hopefully you guys will come back after that, and I appreciate it if you guys do. But if you guys don't want to be spoiled, we're going to start talking about the movie right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
From the short story by Stephen King, Trimark Pictures invites you to buckle up. You are now entering a town called Lunar.
Morning.
First time in this part of the cosmos. Looking for flying saucers?
Why would anyone want to live in a place like this?
Dad, it's too quiet here.
Where something strange is going on.
Electricity is out for most areas. It'll be at least 24 hours before we can get to you.
Can't get nothing on the CB. Phones are out.
What's that?
Is there anyone driving?
Trucks don't drive by themselves. A mysterious force has taken hold.
These trucks appear to have an intelligence of talking to each other.
They're up to something.
And the traffic is way out of control.
That man's boys outside.
Look out!
Yeah, what's going on?
Get away from my son! Now!
We got the generator.
I think we're gonna be next.
Get you out of here, I promise.
Go, go, go!
You are about to reach the end of the line. Trucks. A thriller without brakes. Starring Timothy Busfield.
Yeah, so it's a U.S. Pictures and Trimark Picture. It's a made-for-TV movie. Movie starts out with this old transport in a junkyard, and then we see a guy kicking some junk in the junkyard, and then we see one of the trucks has like a headlight pop back into it, and we see the guy feeding his two German Shepherds. One of the dogs' name is Dago. Then as he's going into a shop, like I said, we see the headlight pop back into the truck. Then it's setting up the movie. The old out-of-commission truck starts up and drives right through the building that he's in. Apparently, within the minutes that he got in there, he hopped in the shower, by the looks of it. And then this slow Terminator-style music starts to play as the truck is slowly backing out. And it's got like a bloody shower curtain attached on the front of it and some other debris from the building. And it starts to drive away, but then it just parks on the edge of the driveway towards the road. And then we see a sign saying, "Welcome to Lunar." And we see an old gas station, and It's got like a little store, convenience diner set up, and I think a little like cabin set up for like hotel rooms. It kind of looks like an old ghost mining town essentially. Then we see our leads filling up a car with some gas as Hope is going out to pick up some of her tourists coming in to go backpacking, because that's what she does. She brings in people around the area to go backpacking and looking for UFOs and stuff. And we find out our lead is Ray, and then his son is Logan. We also find out there's a guy named George who runs a diner inside, as 2 truckers are already in there eating. And Hope's job is to bring backpackers back, like I said, and looking for UFOs and flying saucers, because they're in Nevada and everything is alien related in Nevada apparently. Anyways, as she's driving into town, she passes the truck that's on the edge of the road. She's like, I wonder why that's there. That's not usually there. But she just keeps on going anyways. As she drives by it and keeps moving, we see the mirror of the truck actually move, and it's now looking at her as she's driving by. Then as Hope is grabbing some supplies, an asshole trucker tries to pick her up, you know, kind of head on her. He's like, hey, if you're in the, I'm in the area every so often. Come by and swing by if you need a real man. And she's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. He's also the guy who drives the refrigerator truck, who's the main truck in the actual movie here, TV movie. Then we see a Greyhound bus stopping, and she's going over to grab her backpackers. Jack is being one of them. There's 3. There's Abby, her dad, military guy. I think like I said, I think his name is Thad. I could be wrong because there's no picture on the IMDb. And then Jack being the weird one. He's like the hippie. And he's like, oh, this is my first time being this part of the cosmos. I mean it no harm. Okay, Jack, get in the van. Let's go. Then we cut to the dickhead trucker as he's driving down the road, and his truck starts acting up, swerving all over the road and revving up, and he finally gets it to stop on the side of the road and to give it a once over to look it over. You know, maybe something's damaged on it. You know, who knows? And then he hears a noise from inside his refrigerator trailer, which is just a bunch of hanging like dead cows. He goes inside to check, but of course the meat freezer trailer door shuts and locks him inside, and he's banging on the door for his life, because he doesn't want to freeze to death, but he's going to freeze to death because he's an asshole and he deserves it. Then we find out Lunar was built on a spot where a meteor crashed millions of years ago, and one of the backpackers has a daughter, and she's a real brat, and of course her name is Abby. And for you people who know me personally will know what that means. Yes, being a father. Great. Really only a brat though, just because her parents are separate, and her dad was in the military, so he traveled a lot, but now he's in the oil fields, and now he's traveling even more apparently, and even farther away, and they just don't have a good relationship between the two of them. Then back at Lunar, Ray is going in to see George at the diner, and then George notices the mirror on the truck moving, because George is looking out the window as Ray's coming in, and he notices the mirror moving, but he doesn't say anything about it. He's just like, huh, that's weird. Then the bell goes off at the gas station, and George tells him to let Logan handle it, because he's, you know, they're not in Detroit anymore. Apparently, by the sounds that they lived on 8 Mile, but that comes into the play of the story a little bit later on in the movie. Then the car ride, we find out that one of the guys was a former pilot. That's Abby's dad. He was a pilot for Area 51, where he drove or flew helicopters in and out of the base a lot of time. He's like, it's just a military base, nothing UFO related, don't worry about it. And that's when we then find out now he works for the oil company, and he's traveling even farther and more often than he was when he was with the military, which doesn't make sense at all, but whatever. We then see Logan in the garage uncovering what must be his dad's motorcycle, I thought, but then I remember later on it's not, and we'll find out later what the motorcycle means. Then Abby goes to light a smoke in the van, and her dad takes the smoke away, and now she's like, oh, fuck dad, man, you're wrecking my life. I just trying to be a kid and smoke. Then they drive by the asshole trucker on the side of the road. His driver's door is wide open too, and she's like, oh, there's that jerk. And they just keep on going as we hear him screaming for help, trying to get out of the truck. They're like, the door's open, it's fine. We'll just keep going. Could be a serial killer out on the loose, but it's fine. He's an asshole anyways. Then they get to the scrapyard, and we find out the truck that was on the side of the road is now in the middle of the road, so they drive around it. And then she parks like a complete asshole. She's not parked straight on the side of the road. She's literally like got the nose end of the van on the side of the road and parked on an angle, so if somebody swerves around the truck, they're going to still hit the van because the ass of the van's still halfway out on the road. But, you know, whatever. It's a movie. So anyways, military guy's like, hey, we got to push this truck off the road before someone actually gets hurt, and they go to push the truck off the road, and the whole time Jack is just taking pictures because he's more concerned about taking pictures of the moment rather than actually helping in the moment, because he's a weird, lazy, kind of hippie kind of guy. Then we see the transport coming in, and it tries to hit them, and they jump out of the way, and then it smashes through the truck that they just pushed off the road and circles back around in the scrapyard, and literally as Hope is trying to grab the car phone out of the van, it literally smashes through the Lunar Express van, and that's when she mentions she didn't see anyone driving. And the military guy's like, yeah, it's driving on its own, fucking asshole. Then we see Logan is cleaning the motorcycle, and he's pretty much in love with this thing, and we find out it was actually like another visitor. And then I believe Ray's like, I'm pretty sure he's taken away for drugs and in prison or something, so I gotta talk to the sheriff to see what's going on with the bike, because it's not technically our possession. We're just maintaining it until he comes back. And then the dad's like, I'm not letting you have a bike because I'm not losing you either, because we then find out his wife was killed in Detroit. That's why they moved away, and it might have been a drive-by, might have been a car accident for all we know, might have been a robbing for all we know. We don't really know. We just know she died in Detroit somewhere. Could have been on 8 Mile, might have not been. Could have been at the Hardcore Pond, Jersey Shore. We don't know. It probably wasn't. It might have been there. There might have been there by then. I don't know. Apparently, it's been around for years. Anyways, back to the movie. We then see the married couple, the Jaegers, showing up. And the wife is a real bitch. She's not happy. She's like, oh, you took me to the cheap spot, huh? Couldn't find a nice hotel out here in the middle of fuck nowhere, huh? I guess I just don't mean that much to you. And she's all pissy because of it. And I guess they randomly, by the sounds of it, they spun the globe and just put a pin wherever, and this is just the random spot they've landed on. We now see Hope using her big ass car phone that could be used as a brick or a deadly weapon to call Ray about the accident, and then Ray speeding off in the classic station wagon to go pick them all up. Then we see Jack arguing with the military guy that the truck was driving on its own, and the stranger things have happened in the world because of UFOs and whatnot. Then as Ray's driving down the road, the same transport, the refrigerator truck, tries to cut him off by driving in his lane. Ray just swerves into the incoming lane to avoid him and drives by. He's like, oh, goddamn asshole's not keeping his eyes on the goddamn road. Yeah, that makes sense. Calls the guy an idiot and just keeps on driving on his way. Then we see Abby arguing with her dad, saying how she wants to go home and she didn't want to come here in the first place. Then Jack mentions she should meditate if she's stressed out, and she asks Jack if he's crazy. He's like, yeah, probably, to be honest with you, I probably am. Then back at the Lunar, we see one of the truckers playing on the pinball machine, and we think, oh, maybe he's going to die like the guy did in Maximum Overdrive by the arcade machine, but he doesn't die at all. That's disappointment. Then we see the Jaegers in the diner, and she's not happy with the country food, and he mentions how they used to do this all the time, and she's just like, I was young and dumb, what do you want me to say, okay? I was stupid. Then we see this chemical military truck driving, and it's losing control as it crashes into the power station that powers up this whole area. And then the two truckers look out the window, and we see a big puff of black smoke coming into the air. And then as Ray's driving, he sees the same puff of smoke and wonders what's up and wonders why it's so weird. But he's driving out of Lunar and he sees the puff of smoke in front of him, which I don't think is the right angle, but I could be wrong. Maybe it is, because at the same time everyone else sees the puff of smoke as well, which would mean that they would have to drive through the puff of smoke, but they never pass through the puff of smoke. So I don't know how that works out, because he's driving to the other group that's stranded and they see the puff of smoke in the direction he should be driving from. Whatever, it's TV movie, it's fine. Anyways, he tries to call Logan at the diner, but he can't hear anything. It's just radio static essentially. Then as the Jaegers are getting in their cabin, we see the refrigerator truck drive behind them. It misses them. I don't know if it was really trying to hit them or if he's just driving really super fucking close, but they don't get scared or spooked by it at all. It's just like, oh, it's a transport. Then we see another couple, which I thought was another couple in the cabin getting ready to get it on, but it might have been the Jaegers getting it on. I'm not really too sure. I'm getting a little bit confused because I don't see any other couple, so I'm going to assume it's the Jaegers getting it on. But yeah, the whole time they're getting ready to get it on, the refrigerator truck is driving around honking its horns, making circles of the area. Then we see Ray showing up at the junkyard to pick everyone up, and then we see Hope is exploring the junkyard, and that's when she finds Phil's dead body. He's got no shirt on. Maybe he's got debris covering him up. He's wet, so I'm assuming he hopped right in the shower, and that's how he died. We know the truck drove through the building, and that's how he died, but he must have just hopped in the shower and died via, truck through shower. And then everyone else goes to see where Hope is, and that's when we find out, they all see Phil's dead body, and saying the same refrigerator truck tried to kill them as well, so now they feel like there's a serial killer out there on the loose because he's trying to kill everyone. Ray asks Hope if she's okay as they're getting into the car, and she doesn't try to hide it at all. She just straight up says, yeah, I'm scared to death actually. Can you please take me home? I don't want to be here anymore. Then the truckers at the diner are wondering what the hell is going on because the refrigerator truck just keeps doing circles around the whole lot. The same old circle, same old path. Then one of the truckers says he's leaving. As he's heading outside, he almost gets ran over by the same truck, and he runs right back in the diner. He says, there's no one in the goddamn truck. Nobody driving. It's just driving on its own. There's nobody in the goddamn truck. The TV announcement says everyone should stay inside because of the chemical truck that hit the power station, and they're unaware as to what chemicals it was carrying, but it's not good at all because it's military grade chemicals. Then we see this white cleanup truck driving into the ground zero spot where the chemical truck has crashed, but it takes a little bit of a while for them to actually get to the spot. We then see what looks to be like a yellow power line truck coming up behind Ray and everyone in the station wagon. And it starts bumping the car a bit. It breaks the back window out on the second bump, and the military guy's just like, floor it, let's go. And it literally chases them all the way back to the lunar. We then see the horny couple, the Jaegers, getting dressed, and they watch as the refrigerator, I think, literally smashes into their car, or smashes into a car, I should say, not their car yet. They go to make a run for their car. As they're opening up the trunk of the car, the truck actually comes right at them and runs in the back of their car and smashes it, and they run back into their cabin because they're scared shitless. That's where then I put in my notes, are the Jaegers and the horny couple the same people? Like, is she doing him because she's upset, or is this just like a kink that they get off on? Like, I'm going to be a bitch to you, and then we're going to do it, and then we're going to act like everything's fine? I don't know. Then another TV report says the toxic fumes could be fatal if inhaled at all, and they all need to wait for the helicopter to come rescue them and just stay inside and not breathe in the toxic fumes. We then cut to see a mailman dropping off some letters. This is pretty much the scene where the little boy is running through with the Maximum Overdrive with the RC car that killed the dog and the hairdryer that killed the girl and the lawnmower. But anyways, this guy's just dropping off mail. He must put mail into like a mail slot that has like a toy store, because then this RC dump truck, I should say, starts smashing on the glass door to get out, and then he puts two little toy trailers there to smash through the glass, and it literally smashes him in the ankles because he goes back to check what the glass breaking was. He's all confused because he thinks it's a kid pulling a prank on him, and the truck drives away, comes back, smashes him in the ankle again, does that a couple times to the point where he falls off the sidewalk and lays face down on the road, and then the truck does a little turnaround and starts smashing him in the head, pushing his head up against the curve to the point where then we see a shot of the little yellow toy RC dump truck that's covered in blood now, and then it finally goes in for that final kill to kill him, which I thought was kind of funny, I guess unique, but it literally looks like, I don't know, strawberry jam all over top of the RC truck, but whatever, it's budget wise. Then in the diner we see the truckers are pissed off because now their trucks are coming alive and driving without them, and they just want to get on with their job essentially, or they're just dickheads, one of the two. We see the station wagon showing up to the diner as everyone getting out and running for their lives. Abby and Logan grabs Abby and heads into the Jaeger's cabin for some reason, and then everyone else heads into the diner, and then Logan and Abby meet together for the first time. It's like the scene where Emilio and the other girl fall on the floor together, I think, after the first time, or maybe whatever, but it's them having like the whole relationship aspect. Then Jack goes on about how it's our fault for misusing the planet, and that's why the trucks are coming alive to take everything back, because they can deal with the earth better than the humans can. We then see the Jaeger man going to check out the old truck that's in the garage, apparently attached to the cabin or close by, because apparently he can work on cars. Yeah, he doesn't know what's wrong with the truck anyways, but whatever. And then Abby asks the Jaeger wife for a smoke. She's like, I quit. She's like, why would you do that? And then Hope goes to talk to Ray, and he gets a bit lippy, and then he has to yell to get everyone's attention because the truckers, I should say, are arguing, not the trucks. Apparently the trucks outside have a better working relationship than the people inside do, because that's just how trucks are. Jack mentions how 2 weeks ago there was a meteor shower that he thinks might have something to do with what's going on right now at this point in time. Then one of the truckers says it's all Area 51's fault, and that it's all government trying to take things over and hide things from the people. That's when the military guy speaks up saying nothing goes on at Area 51, and that's when he mentions how he used to fly helicopters in and out of there, and then that's when the truckers think that he's part of the problem, that he's holding back information on them, and that he just got trapped with them by accident and he should be out somewhere safe. So then a fight breaks out, and George pulls out a gun to get everyone's attention, make them stop fighting, and then Ray's like, where the fuck do you get the gun from? I don't allow guns in here, because Ray's all against guns because of his wife dying, so we can just assume that she was shot to death. Then we find out the chemical is like a space chemical, and they won't say much more other than that it's just a space chemical and not what it's used for. I think they mentioned how it's used for bonding stuff in space, but I could be wrong. We see the white cleanup truck pulling up closer to the accident, and then they stop to suit up and check over their gear, and before they get closer, because they want everything to be 100% good to go and make sure there's no issues, as the one guy is setting up his gear outside, the other machine turns on and fills up the other suit with air to the point where that suit comes alive now and grabs an axe and then goes to kill the guy in the front seat who's radioing to the base, and then as he's dead, he goes back, the manless suit goes back to the other guy. He's like, oh man, you're really quick, what happened, did you cut yourself, why is there so much blood in your suit? And then he literally takes the axe at him and kills him, and then we see the truck driving away. Then Abby finds out that Logan and his dad are from Detroit, because at first she calls him Red next, and he corrects her on it. Then we see the Jaeger guy saying how he can get the truck in the garage working and they can escape, and we find out he's sort of like a used car salesman because apparently he's really good with working on vehicles, and the wife just says he sells cars, so I'm just going to assume he's a used car salesman just by the way he looks. Then we see Ray outside having a standoff with one of the smaller trucks as it comes closer, which each step he makes and pushes him back into the diner. Then the military guy calls Ray over to discuss like this drainage pipe, and he's like wondering, you know, like if the kids can get into there, if we distract them, maybe the kids can get over to us. And that's when the guy mentions Area 51 has this high power telescope at the base, and apparently the project was shut down, but then a smaller group of people bought the project and call it the Phoenix Project now, and they're monitoring UFOs, and he's wondering if this has something to do with it as well. We then see the Jaegers, Logan and Abby are all stuck in separate buildings as Ray is holding up a sign telling them about the drainage pipe to tell them about their plan. That's when we see the Jaeger husband working on the truck, and then the hood closes down on him and he's all confused, and then the truck turns on, but the garage door is locked from the outside, so it literally starts pushing him up against the door until he dies. And then Logan goes outside, pulls the lock off. It's like a wooden lock, and then the truck breaks through the doors, of course, and then Mrs. Jaeger grabs an axe and starts chasing after the truck because it stops and starts smashing it with the axe. And then I think Ray goes out and grabs her because the truck is like midway to the diner, and he pulls her into the diner as Logan grabs Mr. Jaeger's body, drags him back into the garage, and closes the door as Abby freaks out because apparently she's not used to seeing a dead body. Then back in the diner, we hear all the trucks honking their horns, and Ray says they're trying to talk to each other. Then Abby says she's going to take her chances and run for the diner. Then she slaps Logan because he's trying to tell her, you know, just wait, my dad's coming up with a plan. We'll get through this together. And he pretty much tells her, you know, don't ever slap me again, please. I don't want to have to hit a girl. Please don't. And then they're saying they'll get out of the building when the time is right. They just have to wait for the plan to go into motion. We find out Ray apparently has some very strong pills because they use them to knock out Miss Jaeger. That's when she mentions that, or Hope mentions that she's a former RN and that she's wondering why he has such these strong pills, which I'm assuming is from the trauma of his wife dying. And that's when she says that today's the first day that she found out about his wife, even though it sounds like she's been there for a year or so. I guess they just don't talk at all. We find out Ray moved there to keep his son safe, and Hope moved there because she felt safe from her ex-husband, who was causing her lots of issues and restraining orders and whatnot. Then Abby, being impatient, runs to the drainage pipe before waiting for the plan to start, and Logan follows her because he doesn't want her going alone. That's when we then see the hydro truck stop at one end of the pipe and pretty much sticking his exhaust pipe in the end of it, and then another truck comes that has a little dump truck back on it, and it starts dropping rocks at the other end, so they're pretty much going to get trapped in there and die from the exhaust fumes. And then Ray goes out to try and rescue them to stop everything, and then he starts shooting a little pistol at the trucks, and then two trucks start coming at him from two different directions, and he looks like he's going to get sandwiched between the two of them, but the refrigerator truck blows its horn to stop them, and then they all stop, and he's very confused as to what's happening. Then Ray goes over to the pipe and talks to Logan, and they are wondering why the truck stopped, and he's wondering too because he has no idea. Then the truckers start issues inside, and the military guy takes one of them out, and then Jack has to hit the other guy in the back of the head with a glass beer ball, and he's like, oh wow, I actually did that. Then we see Logan trying to escape out of the drainage pipe, and he's got to crawl underneath the truck, and as he's getting ready to get out, one of the truckers goes to leave, and Ray's pointing the gun at him, telling him, get back inside, I'm trying to get the kids out of the drainage pipe, you asshole. And then he's like, no, you won't shoot me, I'm not moving anywhere, I'm just going to stand right here, as he's staring at his own truck. Then we see Logan slowly crawling underneath the truck, and Abby's following slowly behind him. As soon as the kids are out of the drainage pipe from underneath the trucks, the asshole trucker goes to get into his truck, but drives away, and now he's trapped outside as the trucks are now driving around again, getting ready to kill someone. Then he runs and hides inside it like another building, and then in the diner, Hope mentions that when the refrigerator truck honked, the others stopped, so he must be the one in charge. Then we see Hope and Abby cleaning up her dad because he's got a cut on top of his head from one of the truckers. And then the dad says how he's sorry for getting her into this and not being the greatest dad for never being around. They have this little like family bonding moment. Then as the family meeting is over, Abby goes out on the porch, and we see Jack on the bench telling her, I wouldn't want to go too far, be a little bit dangerous. And then he mentions that, to give her dad a chance because people do change over time. Then back in the diner, Hope and Ray notice Mrs. Jaeger is missing. Ray looks outside, and she's climbing up the rock cliff on the side, but she then gets up to the top and starts walking away, but she doesn't really notice or hear the yellow hydro truck that's coming behind her that literally runs her over and kills her. And then Hope and Ray are arguing because she wants to leave through the back foot trails that the trucks can't follow, and then Ray just wants to wait it out until the sheriff shows up because he's trying to keep his son safe. Then one of the truckers notices some kerosene, the one that got separated from the others, and the spot where he's staying in, so he decides to make some Molotov cocktails to use for his escape. then Jack is talking to George, the old guy who's running the diner, and they're reliving some childhood memories, essentially, or some old memories of like a Chicago riot, and they're both there. And George mentions how he was a police officer because he also was a military officer in Korea. And we believe by the looks on Jack's face is that Jack was a rioter because he's a hippie, and George was on the other side because he was a police officer. And then we also find out that Ray's dad and either George or George's father were both in the Korean War together. I think it must have been George, and that's how they got together. It was a little family related. Not really family, but, you know, whatever. And then we see the trucks are communicating and setting up something. So now Hope's looking at a roadmap and setting up a plan for escape. Then Ray asks Logan how the bike's running because he knows Logan's been taking the bike out, and he's wondering if it's got full tank of gas. And Logan's like, yeah, it's good to go. So the plan is for the military guy to take the bike to either go let them know that they need to bring a helicopter to save them, or he's going to steal a helicopter to come save them himself. We then see the trucker throwing Molotovs at the other trucks, and one of the truckers inside the diner is upset because he threw the Molotov at his truck. So he runs outside to go check his truck to make sure it's okay, and then he jumps in his truck to try and take control of it. But the whole time the truck is now V-lining right for the other trucker who's from the Molotovs. His truck comes on fire. He pretty much pushes him into another building, and the whole truck and everything else blows up. And the two trackers die from it as well because everything goes up in flames. Then Abby and Logan are talking about how they are both scared, and she finally says, I'm sorry for hitting you earlier. Now it's nighttime, and they notice the trucks are acting differently as they take out the water pump, and then they go after the generators. Then Logan goes to grab the bike to push it out of the garage area into the diner because that is actually the next building that got destroyed. So luckily they did push out, or their plan would have been destroyed. And then they're all looking outside as the trucks are honking their horns, and the phone outside starts to ring in the phone booth. Abby decides to sneak out the back way to go answer the phone, but then a truck comes right at her, and then Ray and Jack go to save her, but Jack gets stuck at the phone booth and gets ran over, and he's now dead. Good job, Abby. Then all the trucks drive right towards the diner and stop at the window, start honking their horns that their high beams are on, and then they drive off and they line back up farther away from the diner, but they're still facing right at the diner, getting ready to attack at any point in time. Then Ray says he knows what they want, and they want to keep the one that feeds them happy. That's why he let the kids get out, and that he's going to put gas into the trucks, and then once the trucks are distracted by the gas, that's when the military guy is going to take the bike and escape out that way. Ray starts filling up the trucks with gas, and their dad gets ready to escape on the bike as he tells Abby to stay close to Ray and Hope, and he will see her the first thing in the morning. And Abby says she's going with him and doesn't give him another choice, and then they both leave together. Then as they're filling up one of the trucks, Ray noses behind the back seat there's a gun, so he slowly tries to open up the door to try and take the gun out of the truck, but that's when the trucks start honking at him, and Hope's like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, they're just letting you know who's boss. I'm gonna close the door now. As they fill up the last truck, they make a run into the bushes, and of course Logan's already there with a flashlight kind of flashing to let them know where he is, and George is the last one to leave the diner, and he wants to give them like a head start essentially, so he starts shooting his pistol off at the blue truck that has the gun in the back seat of it, and he like shoots it in the headlight, and it kind of crashes in the ditch and dies. Then he starts shooting at the refrigerator truck, who then drops his trailer and just like torpedoes right towards George and drives right through the diner and the gas station. As George somehow killed that blue truck earlier, Ray goes to grab the gun out of the back of it and shoots the gas pumps, which causes the whole thing to blow up. He's like, I blew up the truck, now we're not gonna have to worry about it. They're stopping to rest because they're higher up in the hills now, and they're going to head to the gravel pit at the first sign of light. We then see a guy working in a hydro truck, which is just a random kill for whatever reason. He's up in the boom of the truck, and then the truck door shuts and the truck comes alive. He's wondering who's messing with him, and he falls out of the boom, but he's still buckled in, so he's still safe from falling. But then the truck pushes him closer to the transformer in the wires, and then he grabs onto it and starts getting electrocuted and dies. I know there's a hydro truck scene in Maximum Overdrive as well, so maybe it's just a play on that one. I haven't read the short story either, so maybe that's just a part of the short story. I'm assuming it's adapted pretty well. I'll have to read that at some point in time. And then we see Hope and Ray wondering if there's any place that's safe anymore, and Ray just says he's not sure, but everything will be okay because I'm just optimistic like that. It's now morning, and we see the three of them heading to the gravel pit, and then Logan notices the helicopter flying into the area, and and they all start yelling and screaming and raising their hands trying to get his attention. And then we see this burnt out, destroyed refrigerator truck showing up at the top of the gravel pit. And he's like, I blew that bitch up last night. How the hell is this still running? What's going on? And then they start running towards where the helicopter's, hovering, and the refrigerator truck's coming at them. And they finally get into the helicopter just in time as it starts to take off, and the refrigerator truck takes a little like ramp and lands into like the water in the gravel pit area. And that's pretty much the end of that. Logan is now happy to see Abby, and she looks all confused and dazed, and they're all happy that they get to escape. And Ray goes up to the front of the helicopter to say thanks to the military guy for saving them. And that's when he knows the helicopter is actually flying on its own and there's no one actually in the seats. And then on the radio, someone just comes in telling them to hold on and everything's going to be okay. And that's when the helicopter is flying off into the scene. The scene pauses, and then the outro credits start to roll, and the movie is over. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Not as great as Maximum Overdrive. I'll definitely give it that. Still fun nonetheless because I love vehicle carnage. There's no real great kills or anything amazing like that, and there's no truck that really stands out. I know the refrigerator truck is like the main truck, but there's nothing that makes him look really cool. Paint job's nothing amazing. He's got a little pull around inside the door, and that's about it. But yeah, it's not a bad movie. On the Rotten scale, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10. It's no Maximum Overdrive, but still, if you guys want to check it out, it's on Tubi for free, and I'm sure it's going to be there for a while. So if you guys want to check it out, definitely go check it out on there. I highly recommend you guys check out the horror section on Tubi because it's great. There's a lot of movies that you're not going to find on other sites, and it's got all the Puppet Master movies, so we'll venture into those at some point in time. But yeah, fun nonetheless. Just a silly movie, which brings us to our movie we're going to pick for next week, which is another movie you can find on Tubi. I've watched this movie a couple times. I'm a big werewolf guy. I enjoy werewolf movies, so we're going to watch Dog Soldiers. It's been a few years since I watched it, and yeah, hopefully I'll enjoy it as much as I did before, and hopefully you guys will check it out as well. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, I appreciate that all very much. If you guys could just give the podcast a review or a rating wherever you're listening to. If you're on Spotify, give it a star rating. Give it whatever you feel. You don't need to give a 5. I'm not going to ask for 5, so I'm just going to ask for whatever you think it deserves. And yeah, if you're on Apple or iTunes or whatever, just leave it a review on there. Leave whatever kind of rating you want. If you want to suggest any movies, hit up the Rotten Views Podcast at Gmail account. All the links will be down below as well. If you want to just talk to me personally, find me on all social medias at Typhonstein. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And the big thing that we're pushing, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, we're pushing the YouTube channel. We're trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, I'm not too concerned about the watch hours. We'll get to that moment whenever we do. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for checking out all the art videos and the gaming videos and whatnot that I've been posting on there. And thank you all for the support. As always, the outro music is by Blood Opera, a Toronto-based horror band. Definitely highly recommend you guys check those guys out. All their links are down below as well, but you can find them on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and pretty much anywhere else that people promote stuff.
So until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
I am a whisper in a classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not